And again, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Senior Program Manager here at Build It Green, Jake Tysinger, to start us off with this webinar.
Thanks, Bianca. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Taking a look at the agenda, we've got a bit of content we want to deliver today, and also address any of your questions and comments. When you were registering, some of you submitted some questions, and we plan to incorporate a lot of the responses into the presentation today. But if there are any questions, as she mentioned, don't be shy about those. This is your opportunity to pass those along, as well as any feedback and general comments as we go through the content. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go through a recap of the 2017 program changes. We presented these back in December and have communicated those through various channels, but want to go through those briefly just to make sure those are understood and address any remaining questions you may have. We'll then move into program updates and go through the process of rebate reservation requests, discuss a bit about the incentive budget, and provide an update on the high performance HVAC installation kicker, new in 2017. We'll then break out and go to a couple of our team members to go through best practices, both for application submission through the desktop QA process, as well as quality installation as part of the field quality control process. We will have pauses for questions after each section, but then at the end of the presentation, we'll also have a general question and comments where it can be a bit more of an open forum. And again, if you send those questions through the questions pane, we'll collect those and read those off. And we'll of course distribute this presentation and recording afterwards, so you can have it and return to it as a resource or share it with any of your staff who aren't able to attend today. So we'll go ahead and get started with the program changes recap, and we'll start with the home upgrade pathway. So new in 2017, for the home upgrade pathway, there is a new rebate range that varies from $1,000 to $2,500. The minimum rebate amount for homes built before 1993 is $1,000. That amount, of course, is comprised of the various measures that you select and install and the dollar value associated with them. For homes built 1993 and newer, the minimum is $1,500. So a bit more of an extensive scope required for those newer homes. The maximum rebate for the home upgrade pathway is $2,500, and rebates are capped at 50% of the completed installation cost. So if you have a $4,000 scope of work that's completed, but the rebate that you would be eligible for is $2,500, that will be prorated down to $2,000, so the incentive doesn't exceed 50% of the completed installation cost. The measure points were replaced in 2017, so in lieu of, say, duct sealing being eligible for 25 points, it's now associated with a dollar value, so duct sealing is worth $200 as opposed to 25 points. If you've been submitting, you're familiar with this, but just want to go over that. A customer signed scope of work is now required for the home upgrade pathway at job submission. This can be uploaded as an attachment when the application is created. So that's a new requirement for the home upgrade pathway this year as well. And the rebate amounts were reduced. So I'll go through those briefly on the following slides. This information is available on the homeupgrade.org page as program updates, but also when you go into looking at the installation tab, I believe it is, for where this table is, you can review all of these. But as you can see, the rebates reduced across the board for the most part for the base measures. If we continue into the flex measures, those were also reduced. I won't go through each of them individually. And then for the second set of flex measures here. There was one that went up. The efficient electric water heater went from 400 to 500, and the high performance windows stayed the same. But again, reference the homeupgrade.org page to get into the details on those. Similar, the technical specifications for a handful of measures were updated in many cases to reflect either updated code for 2016 or to yield more energy savings from these measures. So the duct replacement measure sealed to less than or equal to 5% for replacement ducts. That now aligns with 2016 code. Whole building air sealing, the 15% leakage reduction measure was removed for home upgrade. So essentially the 30% measure is the remaining whole building air sealing measure, and that's valid for homes built prior to 1993. The rest of these, just slight clarifications again. If you have any questions about these, reach out to us. These are all updated in our program documentation, but did want to call those out as part of the changes in 2017. One of the changes that applies to the application submission and the pipeline, you may have started receiving some notifications on these. We did a bit of a manual cleanup before we put this in place, but there is auto cancellation and auto cancellation reminders for home upgrade created applications and home upgrade contractor action required applications. So once an application has been in either of these statuses for home upgrade for 30 days, you'll receive an initial notification that the application has been in that status for 30 days and is scheduled to be canceled if it doesn't move to a different status during that time. I believe you received 3 more notifications at that point. Please do, keep an eye on those if you have an application that is in one of these statuses, as it will be canceled if it doesn't move. And so if it's a created app, what that means is you just have to submit it. You'll have to complete all of the uploads and pieces that you have ready and submit it within 60 days. For a contractor action required app, that simply means that you resubmit it to us. If it comes down to it and you're having some timeline delays or you just need a bit more time in order to complete those corrections, assuming they're not health and safety corrections, then you can, when you return it to us, notify us that, what the anticipated timeline is. When we get it back, we'll return it to contractor action required, but that will sort of restart the clock for you. So that is an option to you. It's really meant to help build in some flexibility in those cases where the timeline is taking longer than usual. So hopefully this doesn't become a default for you, but we do want to offer that to provide a little flexibility with those cancellations. So that's it for the home upgrade pathway changes. We'll go into the advanced home upgrade pathway changes now. So new in 2017, just like the home upgrade pathway, incentives will be capped at 50% of the completed installation costs. For the advanced home upgrade pathway, there are a few different places where you need to include the completed installation costs. And we do ask that those stay consistent across those different documents to streamline the review process and make sure all of the data fields are in alignment. There's the scope of work total costs listed on the contract. There's the completed installation cost, which is included on the energy modeling report. And then there's the modeled and proposed completed installation costs at the job submission portal. And we will talk a bit later in today's forum about best practices for job submission. So we'll go into that a little more in depth, but did want to provide that note now. Additionally, marketing materials should advertise an incentive of up to $5,500 rather than up to $6,500. As you're aware, there are some instances where incentives can exceed that amount in the advanced home upgrade pathway if there's a high level of savings and everything is modeled correctly, it is possible at times to exceed that. But for marketing purposes, $5,500 is the maximum value that can be advertised for advanced home upgrade. Additionally, we are interested in existing program contractors with C licenses who are already submitting to home upgrade to participate in advanced home upgrade if they hold the valid C licenses. You will be required, if you are moving from home upgrade to advanced home upgrade, to meet all the other program requirements. So you must have a BPI analyst on your staff, and you must have attended the advanced technical training as well. But we are interested if that's something that you think your company is interested in doing and participating, getting higher rebates, doing more comprehensive scopes of work, and participating in advanced home upgrade, let us know, and we can help walk you through that process. But the first steps would be to ensure you have a BPI, certified BPI analyst on staff who has also attended the advanced technical training. As far as the rebates go for advanced home upgrade in 2017, there is a change with how negative model savings will be submitted and processed for payment. There are some instances where negative modeled savings will be yielded even if it's not a case of fuel switching or adding load. Some of those could be moving from a ductless to a ducted system, or insulating without window or HVAC upgrades. These do come up in certain scopes of work. And previously those were zeroed out of the equation, but in 17 those have all been incorporated. So calculations just occur straight across the savings fields. If there is negative savings yielded, it will be calculated at those same rates and essentially subtracted from the total eligible incentive amount. So if you do have scopes of work where those are being produced, do make note of that and build that into your understanding of the ultimate incentive amounts. We have worked to incorporate this now into the job submission portal, so those should be reflected when you do upload a model when it's complete in the savings amount. But if you're noticing any issues with that, do reach out to us, and if there's any confusion around this, we want to, we walk you through it. Don't want this to be confusing for you, so let us know if you're having any sort of issues with that. Similar to the home upgrade pathway, there will be auto cancellation of pre-install created and pre-install contractor action required applications. Again, if an application is in either of these statuses for 60 days, on the 61st day it will be canceled. You'll begin receiving notifications on day 30 that it's been in that status for as many days. And your next step would be to move that, if it's pre-install created, to a pre-install submitted status. And if it's pre-install contractor action required, you want to get that back to pre-install resubmitted status. And again, if you're having some delays, reach out to us, let us know what the timeline is. We can work with you on those, but otherwise those are now built into the pipeline and to the notifications. If any of you are working in the PG&E SoCalGas shared territory, there is a slight difference in the incentives for home upgrade in 2017. So home upgrade and advanced incentives and point structures did not change in that territory for 2017. There are some pieces that stay the same, so the technical specifications that are required for the PG&E program are required as well for PG&E SoCalGas. And the whole building air sealing 15% leakage measure has been reduced, has been removed from the home upgrade pathway. The 50% caps will apply as well. But the biggest difference really is that the rebate structure that was in place for home upgrade prior to 2017, so after August essentially, that is still in place for the home upgrade pathway. Again, if you have any questions about that, let us know, but it does mean slightly different offerings in the rebate incentives if you're working in the PG&E electric and SoCal gas territory. So we'll go ahead and move into program updates. These aren't changes per se, but just new information since we had the last webinar. And after this section, we'll go ahead and respond to any questions that have come in about the program changes as well as the program update section. So this is an item that a lot of you had expressed interest in getting more information about. We presented sort of the early beginnings of this back in December as far as what it would look like. But we wanted to go through this again and address any questions you have in the meantime. So new in 2017, rebate reservations are required for both home upgrade and advanced home upgrade. And we'll go through those back to back. There's a slight difference in how they're submitted and reserved. But for the home upgrade pathway, in order to reserve an application, there are a few criteria that need to be met. The application must be created. It must be populated with a valid customer. And an estimated incentive total, meaning you've selected the measures that comprise a valid scope that's eligible for the program. You also must put in the completed installation cost. This allows us to understand whether this would be one that would need to be prorated or not, see if it's eligible for full amount or if it would need to be prorated to the 50% or the 50% rule. And then you must also upload a customer-assigned scope of work. If you meet all of those criteria, that is considered a valid rebate reservation, and that will be, calculated and taken into account as far as the incentives are concerned. Rebate reservation request doesn't guarantee application approval. You still must meet all the program requirements and timelines. When you're discussing this with the customer, in a lot of ways, the rebate reservation is probably irrelevant to the customer. It's more of a dialogue between you as the participants and us as the administrators to understand the impacts of all the work in the pipeline. You must still meet all the program requirements. But if you have that minimum level of information completed, that will be considered a rebate reservation for the home upgrade pathway. For the advanced home upgrade pathway, it's similar, but it does require a bit more information uploaded into the system in order to get to these statuses. So the application must be at least pre-install created. Again, it must include a valid customer, estimated incentive total, and the completed installation cost, and an HPXML model must be uploaded. So again, it's not a guarantee of payment, but it is at that point a guarantee of the reservation, assuming it can move through all of the timelines and program requirements to get to the approved status. There's a home upgrade pathway vintage restriction. So as always, these rebates are valid for existing construction only. New construction is not eligible in this program. For the advanced home upgrade pathway, all vintages are accepted, again, assuming this is an existing construction job. For home upgrade, though, homes built through 2001 are eligible, but homes built after 2001 are not eligible for the home upgrade pathway. So if you have some scopes of work or you have some customers who you're working with whose homes were built after 2001, I would consider submitting those through the advanced home upgrade pathway if you're enrolled in advanced and the job scope is eligible, can meet the minimum 10% site savings in 2 measures. But if it's a 2002 and newer vintage, it's not eligible for the home upgrade pathway. So that gets us through the program changes recap and a brief program updates. We're going to take a pause here to gather any questions that have come in, and we'll go ahead and talk through those and present those out to the group shortly. So hang with us a minute. Okay, so first question that came in at the beginning of the sales process when trying to quote a rebate for the home upgrade pathway. If you select a measure and it shows a dollar amount, but there is a 0 in the box under estimated incentive, is that because we didn't meet all the minimum steps, like entering the client's info, et cetera? So there's a couple of reasons why it wouldn't show an estimated incentive total. The main one is typically because the minimum number of measures is not selected. So in 2017, the minimum incentive amount for pre-93 homes is $1,000, and for 93 and newer is $1,500. So if you've only selected measures that add up to, say, $900, the estimated incentive total won't populate. And that is one of the requirements in order to have a rebate reservation, is that there is an estimated incentive amount in addition to the valid customer, the scope, and the completed installation cost. But yeah, typically it means you haven't entered the minimum level of information in order to produce that, which is usually because not enough measures are selected. The next question that was asked, can a contract be considered a scope of work? Yes, it can. Ultimately we'll need the customer assigned scope of work, but yes, a contract in many cases is considered the scope of work for our purposes. The next question, the leakage reduction cannot be claimed for homes built after 93. Is that correct? That is correct. So 30% leakage reduction is the remaining measure for the home upgrade pathway, and that is not a valid reduction for homes built 93 and newer. So if you do have a home between 93 and 2001 for the home upgrade pathway, air sealing is not a valid measure in this case. Next question, do contractors need all of the listed C licenses in order to participate in the home upgrade program, or only the ones that are in the scope of work? For example, if a contractor is doing heating, air, duct work, but no insulation, is a C2 license required? So good question. That if you're participating in advanced, as far as the licenses go, you only need the licenses that are valid for the scopes of work you're producing. It's important to note, especially for contractors who have been primarily in home upgrade and don't have a B license, that of course as a C license contractor you're not able to subcontract. So the requirement would be that the licenses you do have allow you to install a scope of work that is eligible for the advanced home upgrade pathway. So if there's only a couple measures you're able to submit and the customer doesn't want to move through with multiple of those, we would just ask that you manage that conversation with them to make sure they know the sort of minimum level of requirements in order to receive a rebate. But no, you don't need to have all of those listed C licenses. Those are just examples of those C licenses that are eligible. So we'll take a look at some of these next questions and come back in a second. Okay, we'll address some of these next questions that have come in. So many of our customers are asking why the final rebate amount is not on the rebate approval email. It has some of the other listed fields. So we will be adding the rebate approval back onto those approval emails. We're going through a transition with the program changes and the different databases, and wanted to make sure we were communicating the accurate final incentive amount as would be paid for these applications. So that was temporarily disabled on those rebate approval emails. But now that we have the job submission portal and all of those pieces of information in alignment with the program changes, we will be including those back onto the approval emails. So good question. Those will be coming back shortly. You can always reach out to us directly, or if your customer wants to reach out to us directly, we'd be happy to provide that information. And if they need it on an official letterhead and things, we can provide that if that is needed for you. Since a pre-CAS test is good for 120 days, does this now mean they're only good for 60 days since an application will be canceled after 60 days of being created? So no, it is still valid for 120 days. If you have completed the pre-test or the test-in, and you create a job, and it's in the portal for 60 days and it gets canceled, you will be able to submit a new application for that job, assuming you're still submitting that within the 120 days of the test-in. So the results are still valid, but if you start an application and it stays in either created status or contractor action required status for 60 days or more, it will be canceled, and at that point you would have to create a new application that again would follow all those same timelines. So good question. Okay, so here's a question. What if a customer has had new windows installed and wants us to do the HVAC, and we're not able to submit the rebate for the windows? So meaning they've chosen someone else to do the windows since we cannot, you're not licensed to do it, or it's just not what you provide. It's not a subcontracted deal. So in that case, the windows would not be an eligible measure. If you're participating in the program and you have C licenses and are working in advanced, the only measures that can be claimed are those that you as the program participant have completed, are licensed to do so. So in that case, unfortunately, the customer wouldn't be eligible to to have those windows receive a rebate through this program, through that application. Next question, will there be any automated emails for application created saying they will be canceling the application after 30 to 60 days? So yes, there will be notifications. Those are in place. So once an application is in either, if it's home upgrade created or contractor action required, if it's advanced pre-install created, pre-install action required, beginning on day 30, we send the first notification email, and we'll send a few more up until that application is canceled. So you will be notified. Those emails are designated to go out to the email associated with the person who created that application. So if you have multiple staff working within the portal or utilizing one email address, make sure you're paying attention to the address associated with the login to the job submission portal. So the next question, can we do the reservation and the post-submission at the same time? I think this is asking for advanced home upgrade pathway. Can you reserve the application and also submit the post? So really, I guess the recommendation here would be as soon as you know you have a job that is ready to go and to which you could submit the pre and the post within all the required deadlines. So pre-install requires submitting within 120 days of the test in. You have 60 days from created to submitted. And then you have 60 days from the test out to submit the post. So really, I think this has to do with aligning the timeline and time frame of the job. Create that job as soon as you know that it's going to be an application, but keeping in mind that if you can't get that to a submitted in 60 days, you would have to resubmit a new app if it's still valid. And then once you go into the post, you want to make sure as soon as that test out data is done, you're submitting the application within 60 days. So it's still a linear application process to where the pre has to be created, submitted, and approved before the post can be in. I hope that answers the question, but please do follow up if that doesn't address it. Okay, so the home upgrade portal will, no matter how many incentives you select, will add the total dollar amount under the incentive subtotal, but the incentive adjustment shows 0 and the estimated incentive total shows 0. So I think this gets back to the question about the home upgrade portal and getting an estimated incentive amount. I mean, ultimately, as long as you are selecting measures that add up to a minimum of 1,000 for pre-93 or 1,500 for 93 and newer, the estimated incentive total should show a value. If it's showing a 0, it typically means you haven't selected enough measures to make a valid and eligible application. If you feel you have and the portal is still showing 0, please reach out to us and let us know. We can take a look to see if there's some sort of issue. But otherwise, if you've selected a valid scope and number of measures for home upgrade, it should show an estimated incentive value, which again is one of the pieces required for a rebate reservation. And as far as the notification emails go, we have heard from some people that those are going to spam folders. So if you are hoping to manage, you have a lot of applications that will cross this 30, 60-day threshold of created or action required to then move to the next stage. Check your spam folder and check your email client settings to make sure that the address from which we're sending those notification emails is not sent to spam. So if you feel that you haven't received those, please do check your spam folder, and if you're still having issues, again, reach out to us and we'll help with that. A question that came in, did you say that none of the work can be subcontracted? So for state license law, if you're a C license contractor and don't have a general or B license, you're not allowed to subcontract work. So that's correct. Unless you are a B license contractor, you're not able to subcontract the work. If you're C license and home upgrade or C license and eligible to submit in advanced, it means you as a participant must be licensed and must have installed all of the measures for which you are applying. And final question for this section, and then we'll move on. So can we create an application and post-submit at the same time for home upgrade program? So the home upgrade program is just a single application submission, whereas advanced home upgrade, you submit a pre-install application and a post-install application. For home upgrade, it's a single submission. So essentially, you'll need to be able to submit all of your documentation within both 120 days of the test in and 60 days of the test out. It doesn't go into that pre-install approved or that notice to proceed status like the advanced does. But if you have questions about, what's, timeline and the scopes of work that you do and attempting to meet those different timelines, then reach out to us and we can help address your individual questions. That'll do it for this section of questions. If we didn't answer your question, we can please send those again, and we can respond to those when we move into the general open discussion at the end of the presentation. Okay, so this next section, we're going to give an update on the high-performance HVAC installation, the HPHI kicker. Torsten is out today, so I will be presenting this in his place. But we did want to provide a quick update on this specific addition to Home Upgrade in the new year. So if you attended our webinar back in December, we gave a brief description of the high-performance HVAC installation kicker. We mentioned it's eligible for the home upgrade pathway for a $200 amount, or it will be, and there's potential that this will be added to advanced home upgrade pathway. That's not guaranteed or final at this point. The basic requirements, though, there are 7 main categories that need to be met in order to be designated as a high-performing HVAC installation. These have been fleshed out through the HVAC installation pilot that is still ongoing. And so we have been using the Home Upgrade website as a clearinghouse for all of the information around the HVAC installation pilot. So if this is something that you're interested in, we do recommend checking out the information available at that URL listed below. That's where we keep all of these draft documents and requirements. The main requirements are listed here. Again, this gets pretty technical, so we won't go into all of the pieces on today's webinar. But do take a look at those and let us know if you have questions. Because this is such a technical piece, and a lot of requirements for installation here. This will require training for both measurement and data collection. As we mentioned, as far as data collection goes, it requires meeting all 7 system design and efficiency specifications included in the retrofit performance levels for high performance HVAC installation document at homeupgrade.org. So if you're curious, again, those technical specs, that's the document you want to focus on. It must also be included as a provided service line item with cost, if applicable, in the customer signed contract scope of work. So in lieu of just listing out the HVAC equipment that is going to be purchased and installed, there would need to be a specific line item specifying that this would be a high-performing HVAC installation associated with that. It's up to you if there's an additional cost associated with that, but we would need to see it at least listed on the scope. Additionally, homes with existing AC really are the primary target in this case. If you target furnace-only homes, we ask that you reach out to us so we can discuss the nuances of that and the recommendations that go along with that. Finally, the training component of this. So high-performance HVAC installation training would be provided by the program. We would lead that, but it does represent, a fairly significant time commitment on the part of your sales and installation staff. Here, based on what we've seen in the pilot and what we've been planning, it would be a 2 to 5 day minimum training, depending on the staff role. And this would have to be completed prior to the rebate application submission. We would need to know that your team understands both the performance aspect of this, the measuring aspect, and how to submit that information to us. So if any of you are interested in doing this, again, if you're selecting this measure now, we have made it a valid selectable measure in home upgrade for now, but we ask that you don't submit applications including that measure. Those will be returned. Required before you can begin selecting that is to go through this training. So if you are interested in this, the next step for you would be to reach out to us. The number is listed below, 510-285-6222, or email info@homeupgrade.org. We could work with you at that point to discuss the HPHI initiative and requirements, and also start to work on scheduling a consultation and onboarding. And we can address any brief questions you have about that. We'll collect those for the moment before we move on to best practices in application submission. Okay, so the questions that have come in, one of these, this may have been related to a previous section, but just wanted to clarify. So for a home upgrade program, homes newer than 2001 are not eligible. There was a mention of 2003. So there's a couple items for the air sealing measure. If the home is 93 or newer, it's not eligible for the building leakage measure. So if it's 93 to 2001, no building leakage measure for home upgrade. But for 2002 and newer, it's not eligible for the home upgrade pathway at all. Those would need to be submitted through the advanced home upgrade pathway. Is the $200 HPHI kicker in addition to the $2,500 rebate cap? Is it possible to get $2,700? So no, $200, that would be considered one of the measures in this case that adds up to the $2,500 cap. It's not a kicker in addition to the cap. And we'll take a look at some of these other questions before we move forward. There was another question that came through around licensing. So with the general B license participating in advanced home upgrade, do we also need the specialty C license to attain a rebate for that scope of work? So if you have a B license, you are able to subcontract out the work for the different, C license things, insulation, et cetera. You're legally allowed to do that, where you're legally not allowed to do that with just a C license. So for our program, if you have a B license, you are able to subcontract out the work in advanced. You just, as part of your participation agreement and in the program, you're the primary contact. You are the one, liable, responsible for making sure the installation is done to meet local code, program minimum requirements, et cetera. So there's no sort of parsing out whose work it is at that point. You do take responsibility for it as the primary contractor on it. But yes, you are able to, if you have a B license, subcontract that work out. Okay, that addresses most of the questions for this section. Again, there's a couple that have come in that we will bring back up for the general forum at the end. Next, we will be moving into a couple of best practices sections, starting with application submission. So I'll introduce to you Katrina Inouye, who is our desktop QA manager. And with that, I will pass this off to her.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. I wanted to go through some best practices for desktop review, common issues that we see come through the application portal. We want to make sure that we help you guys achieve smooth application processing and be able to guide you in whatever issues you guys have, either out in the field or back in the office. So I'm just going to start with some slides and talk to you about some measures and documents that are required. We'll start off with the closed finalized permit is now required for all heat pumps and AC upgrades. It must include the address, the permit number, inspection card, must have the finalized date on it, as well as the initials from the inspector. I do have a couple samples. So here's a permit card, that has the name, the address, the permit number. At the bottom it has final and the date and the initials. Here's another one that, it has the final mechanical with the date and the initials. We also will accept a screenshot from the building department if you guys are not able to get the actual permit card. So if you guys come across a situation where you're not sure if we will accept it, go ahead and send us an email and we'll see about what we can do to help you guys get it processed. But we're pretty flexible when it comes to finalized permits in the format that it's in. It could be a picture, a screenshot, or permit cards. Modeling existing attic insulation. We do recommend that you guys model it accurately or use default vintage tables. So if you guys, come into an unusual situation, you guys can't get all the way back into the attic plane to, measure the insulation, then you guys can use the default vintage tables. We do require photos of the insulation levels. So preferably if you guys could take a picture with a ruler on the actual depth of the attic insulation, and then another photo showing the attic plane from a distance. So here's one picture showing attic insulation with the tape measure, and we would accept that. It would help us understand what's going on in that attic. Here's another picture with an attic ruler. This is from a post application, and this gives us a lot of detail on what's going on in that attic. Pool pumps. When upgrading a pool pump, please include the make, model, and the horsepower on the scope of work. Please also include, the name of the certified professional that's installing the pool pump. If we don't have them in our system, then we would need to collect a FIPSI certification to make sure that they're qualified to be performing that kind of work. Requirements, so 1 to 1.5 turns per day for existing and as close to 1.5 turns per day for target for the upgrade. And then when modeling pool pumps above 1 horsepower, please include a photo of the existing pool pump's nameplate to confirm, and then a photo of the pool pump in the area that is installed in for context. It helps the reviewers understand what's going on, and it gives us better information to guide you guys when you guys are modeling these types of situations. Windows. So when upgrading windows, the window schedule is always required for the desktop review team to verify the square footage. We do have a window calculator that we utilize whenever you guys submit an application for windows. So we do recommend that you guys, use this calculator as well, and you guys can take a screenshot of the calculator and upload it into the application, and we'll utilize that when we review the application. The total square footage, SHGC, and U-factor are required when modeling, and also on the contract and the window spec sheet. The test measurements form, please provide the base and worst for any equipment within the building envelope. Zeros are not acceptable, except for rooftop and units located outside the building shell. Ambient CO is required for all natural gas and propane appliances, and CO monitors must be installed by post-application, even if the home is all electric. Scope of work, it must include the contractor's name, the logo, the address, and the phone number. And then the completed cost in the application should match only the cost of the energy upgrades. So if you're doing more work and it's on your contract, that's fine. Just subtract that cost when you're inputting it into the application portal. That way we know that you guys are only including the cost of the upgrades when we review your applications. And then negative energy savings. So this is new. When you guys are submitting applications and there's negative energy savings being generated because you guys are adding ductwork or some windows, walls, floors, and attic, they do generate negative energy savings based on the orientation of the house, the location. Unfortunately, it will start being calculated into the rebate, and it will be subtracted. So if you guys have any questions on that, you can go ahead and give us a call or contact your account manager, and we can talk to you more about that. Rebates are not guaranteed until the application has been approved completely. So if it's an advanced home upgrade application, the pre-incentive amount is only an estimate. The actual rebate is not really functional or correct until the post-application has been approved. So we highly recommend not guarantee any rebates until the full application has been processed. And same with home upgrade. Sometimes measures aren't met, so then you guys have to start over and resubmit another application with a different measure, and it drops or adds to your incentive amount. So we highly recommend don't guarantee any rebates until the applications have been fully approved. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Katrina. And again, go ahead and submit your questions now. We can go through those. But again, wanted to thank you guys. The program's gone through a lot of changes over this past year or so. And of course, with the new energy modeling software coming online and moving away from Energy Pro, there was certainly a learning curve for a lot of you. And you guys have done a really good job navigating during that time. We worked to identify a lot of the issues that would yield a lot of questions or cause a lot of resubmitted applications, and we don't want to do that any more than you guys do. We're looking for the most streamlined, efficient submission process. So we hope that this can be a bit of a resource for you too. Again, as we post this online and share it with you afterwards, as whether it's a checklist or just some way to work with your team to build these in as reminders when you're going through an application. We want this to be as easy for you as possible. So again, thanks for the work you've done to navigate these changes. And as you encounter things for submissions, or it seems like your application's getting submitted for a reason you don't understand, don't hesitate to reach out, and we can work through to help design the program and the portal to address those as well as we can. Okay, so no specific questions about that section. We will go ahead and move into the best practices for installation and field quality control. And I will hand this off to Javier Montalvo. He's our field quality control manager.
Thanks, Jake. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javier Montalvo, and I am the field quality control manager for Build It Green as part of the Energy Upgrade California program. I wanted to dive into some of the topics that we'll be discussing today. Throughout the course of inspecting jobs as part of the Energy Upgrade California program, I wanted to highlight and share some of the home conditions we've encountered in the program to ensure your success for you all out in the field. A couple of documents that we'll be referring to quite a bit today are found on the Home Upgrade Document Library. If you go to the Home Upgrade Document Library on the Performing Jobs tab, you'll find the Whole House Combustion Appliance Safety Test Procedure. I know it's a mouthful, but you'll find it very resourceful, and this details the various testing procedures for all of the CAS situations that you may encounter in the field. And then also for quality installation side, the Home Upgrade Installation Specs is a great resource for you out there. So a couple of the topics we'll discuss today relate to combustion appliance safety. We're going to go over a quality installation measure and a couple of FYIs on the FQC mentoring and 2 to 4 unit building requirements tip. So first to discuss is combustion appliance safety. One of the main findings we encounter out in the field is in regards to spillage. So we want to ensure you're encountering these issues and you know what to do to remediate it. So whenever you touch a job, you are responsible for all the gas appliances at the job. So even if you are not servicing that piece of equipment, you will be responsible for the safety and operation of that equipment. When Build It Green goes out to perform a field quality control inspection or PG&E's central inspection program, we will call out these issues and we will make sure that the home is in safe conditions and the appliance is operating at manufacturer standards. So this particular issue here, you see a water heater, several visual cues as to what's going on and why it may be failing here. I really recommend having a checklist for you out in the field for your team to identify these issues methodically and have ways to mitigate them by test out to ensure that you're receiving passing scores out in the field and they don't hold up or inconvenience the homeowner for receiving the rebate or you as a contractor for receiving the rebate. So a couple of things that we're looking for, just looking at this example, is this, the correct vent type? Is the pitch of the vent, adequate? In this case, we see a couple of bends. It's coming right off the draft diverter there, and we see lots of charring around from, the gases escaping out the flue. We want to make sure that, these vents are not blocked or restricted, no corrosion at the water heater as well. And then also a common failure that we'll find is the clearance to combustibles. We really want to make sure that the flues and any heat generating devices are clear from any of the combustibles. This could be pipe wrap, wood, some of the insulation there on the water lines. Keep in mind for B vent, this is 1 inch. For single wall flues, you'll have 6 inches clearance. Also looking at the vent connectors, making sure that there are screws in each connections, and this is for single wall only. So we want to make sure that there's 3 screws at least 120 degrees apart. Is the draft diverter aligned and level are the seismic straps installed on the water heater. So we want to make sure we have upper and lower seismic straps. So a couple of good examples here on the venting. You'll see on both you have enough rise coming off the draft diverter for the gases to escape out, and then you'll have sufficient clearance from the surrounding combustible. So this is really what we're looking for. A lot of the cases that we come across in the spillage failures, we have the venting isn't adequately addressed. So I recommend having a checklist for your team out in the field. If you want to talk about ideas and develop one, I'm more than happy to work with you on developing one. But these really need to get the attention they need. Especially if you are not servicing equipment, you are responsible for that piece of equipment there. And then secondly, combustion ventilation air. All program participants will verify that there's adequate combustion ventilation air for all tested open burner or induced draft furnaces, room heaters, wall furnaces, and water heaters located in a confined space. The document I referred to you earlier in my slide deck, the whole house combustion safety test procedures, has an addendum there. You can see how the program and BPI, et cetera, defines confined spaces. So inadequate combustion ventilation air will cause appliances to fail the CAS test. So please refer to the mechanical code, also the addendum in the whole house test procedures to make sure that you have adequate combustion ventilation air. This is an example of a CVA to the outside of a home. It looks like roof insulation was installed for this particular case, or excuse me, attic insulation was installed, and some of the loose fill insulation ended up covering the CVA vent. So we really want to make sure that we have this particular CVA vent. It's adequate for that particular appliance and combustion appliance zone, and there's no way for any of the insulation to obstruct it, because then it would defeat the purpose in this case. So on the left we have the obstructed CVA vent. On the right it looks like there was some loose fill installed, and then batt insulation to guard against the loose fill from entering the CVA vent there. So just to recap, test all your gas appliances, because you are responsible for any of the appliances you touch as part of the Energy Upgrade California jobs. Spillage, this is one of our top findings. I feel like if we really do our quality installation checklist and review these steps, there's ways that we can mitigate this. We need to be out in front on the test end to make sure your staff is identifying these issues, and if we have these tools to refer to, I feel like it'll make it fail-proof in that way to help these appliances pass with the venting and combustion ventilation air issues that we've seen throughout energy upgrade jobs. And then lastly, as I've been out in the field, I want to make sure as part of the BPI 1200 update that we do have the BPI 1200 approved equipment. So definitely refer to the 1200 standard. There are some checkpoints there that you'll need to make sure that your equipment complies with the new BPI 1200 rule. And if you need any resources on where to go, shoot me an email and we'll make sure that you are headed in the right direction. We just recently purchased new equipment. We had some good deals on them, so I can share that with you as well. Definitely include me in as a resource. I want to be an asset for your staff, your technical staff out in the field, so we can see, jobs approved smoothly, your pass rates higher, and no one inconvenience throughout this testing that's required as part of the program. So next I wanted to jump into a quality installation topic. One of the, measures that we see routinely through the program involves attic insulation. Here we have a couple of photos that show some good attic insulation jobs where the attic insulation is even across the attic plane. We have rulers. The program requires rulers every 250 square feet, And, you know, we really want to make sure that we're doing that on the front end of the job, because at the back end, if there's failures there, it's you know, it's going to be tough to go back and make sure you have that included. So again, quality installation checklist for the measures is something that we recommend. If you go to the home upgrade installation specs, a lot of this is detailed there. And then obviously give me a call. I'm more than happy to assist you and talk best practices. But some of the issues that we'll find routinely, on the top left there's a photo of the heat producing devices form attached near the attic access hatch. So we want to make sure that all the heat producing devices are accounted for and that they're you know, called out by the contractor performing attic installation, and you know, there's blockers in place to prevent insulation from contacting those heat producing devices. So on the top left, if the heat producing devices form is not installed, then we will make sure that you go back to the job and make that correction. And then the couple of photos surrounding this are in relation to the heat producing devices that are blocked. So attic insulation was performed, and you show some deep levels, but still we have blockers in place. It looks like we have some sheet metal and some kind of like a wood barrier to prevent attic insulation from contacting either. It could be a flue, it could be a can light, whatever the device is. We want to make sure those are covered for. And you know, our inspection team, PG&E's inspection team, will fail jobs. So please make sure that your team, your installation crews, are looking out for these heat producing devices and doing what's necessary to guard against any potential fire hazards that may happen. And then another, I feel like this is a quick, cost-effective fix, but routinely seen out in the field, is the attic access hatches not insulated or weather stripped. So the program requires all attic access openings, including doors, hatches, pull-down stairs, have a tightly fitting cover, insulated to a minimum of R14, but preferably to the same R value that's in the attic insulation. You know, this could be a rigid foam, bad insulation to the access door. So this example shows bad insulation fastened by some straps, it looks like. And then the bottom of the attic hatch is the you can see it weather stripped on the outside, on the perimeter there. So we want to make sure that this is done. I feel like these fixes can be included with every job, and they're very cost effective. So we'd hate to see, you know, a well insulated attic and all the other steps, but you know, the attic access hatch not insulated, and then the opening not weather stripped. So we want to minimize the opportunities for air movement. This is one of the main you know, sources of air movement throughout the house, and I feel like this is very easy to overcome. So please, again, put this in a quality installation checklist to ensure that your team is looking out for these issues. And again, I feel like we can overcome these if we have something methodical that we can refer to and address as we're doing test-ins for these jobs. And then another issue that we'll routinely see with attic insulation are, you know, it occurs with E-vents and the wind washing of the insulation from these vents. So a job, sometimes it's well insulated, but it's almost to the brim. So you can see from the E-vent attic insulation coming out. In this case, you know, before the job, identify where the E-vents are. We'd hate to see a well-insulated job lose its performance after weeks down the road with the introduction of air throughout. So in this example here in the photo, we see insulation kind of deteriorating, so performance eroding from this attic with the absence of baffles. In this slide, you'll see that baffles are present, so the integrity of the insulation is intact. This is good for air movement, so we want to make sure that we have those vents in place. We want to make sure that, you know, moisture has a chance to escape, and then also the performance of the R value won't be compromised by the absence of baffles at these events. So something to do, again, for attic insulation jobs, having this on a checklist. So at the test in, you know that you're going to be baffling these events or whatever vents you have in there to make sure that there's no wind washing effect happening with your attic insulation. So just to recap, heat producing devices, make sure you have the form installed, make sure that blockers are present where all heat producing devices are located. Attic door openings, hatches, pull down stairs, make sure they're weather stripped and insulated where possible. Baffles at events, and then rulers, I feel like they're very helpful. You can achieve the level of insulation you need, and you can see it right in front of you as you're installing it there. No need to guess there if you have rulers. So 1 every 250 square feet. And then also with your, again, like your CVA vents, you want to make sure that they're dammed and blocked so that you don't have insulation, the opportunity for insulation to obstruct those CVA vents there. So another, I think another topic that I feel very strongly about, and I think it'll be a win-win for everyone in the program, are mentoring opportunities at test out. I know that coordinating these may be challenging depending on the scheduling of your customer, scheduling of your installation crew, and the Build It Green schedule, but if you give me enough lead time, I'm more than happy to come out to your job site and be present at the test out while you're doing the same test that our verifier would do after that job is completed. So this would substitute as a sample job for the Energy Upgrade California requirement. So I definitely recommend you identifying some projects in your pipeline, and when those test outs will occur, we can invite your technical staff to the job site as well while we're all there doing the testing. If there's any shortcomings in the work, we can address them while your staff is there on site, and you won't have to be inconvenienced after the fact by having to return to do some simple fixes that could have been addressed beforehand. Customers are always very happy with this, so we don't contact them after the job is complete and have to, have them take time out of their schedule to accommodate our verifier to do a 3-hour test that essentially duplicates what your team is doing at test out. So we feel like it's a win-win, and it satisfies program requirements, and we can have your staff mentored there on site. Any scenarios we can walk through and check out for while we're on site. So my information is here. You can contact me at the number listed or the email listed or through your engagement rep, and we can get this on the calendar and kind of knock 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. And lastly, just a heads up for you all out in the field who may encounter 2 to 4 unit buildings. We want to make sure that the requirements are understood. So know that these particular jobs are only available to move through the advanced home upgrade pathway only. No shared heating, cooling, or water heater equipment, master meters as well. Build It Green as part of the program must observe analysts at test in and test out. So we will have to coordinate a staff to come out and observe your testing. And then know that all gas appliances must be sealed combustion or power vented or moved outside of the building shell or sealed off from the living space so there's no communication. So these requirements are listed on the home upgrade resource document library. There's a 2 to 4 unit requirement document there. You can call me if you have questions. If you have photos, you're not sure whether this building may qualify, or if it's, a scenario that you want to discuss, we'd rather address them beforehand, document them with photos, contact myself or Build It Green, and we can walk through those scenarios. We'd hate to have these conversations take place out in front of a customer, and the contentiousness that may bring. So we really want to deliver the best customer service for you as a contractor. For the customer, we can definitely do this backstage and not have to have this play that out in the field And I'm happy to address any of those questions that you might have for 2 to 4 unit building requirements. And this is an opportunity for you to submit your questions. I will pause for a moment as you can do that, and we'll be able to address your questions as they come in.
Okay, first question, is the attic insulation at the crawl hole cover required for any and all measures or just the attic insulation measure?
Good question. This is only required for the attic insulation measure. We definitely would, as a best practice, address any especially if you're doing air sealing or a basic air sealing package, address every opportunity you can in a cost-effective way to guard against that air movement I referred to. So if the attic hatch is not weather stripped, but you're not doing attic insulation, it's best practice to get that weather stripped and resolved if you can. Just roll it into your scope of work. But no, it's not required if you're not performing attic insulation.
Okay, another question about 2 to 4 unit buildings. If a 2 to 4 unit building is sharing a 75-gallon water heater, they do not qualify. Is that correct?
Correct. So this project would not qualify for the Energy Upgrade California program. You can still do work on the job, but this would not be a candidate for the program.
Next question, is a blower door test required for every home upgrade, regardless of whole building air sealing being included? I.e., if a HVAC change-out is occurring, only a HVAC change-out, is a blower door test needed?
So for blower door tests, they are required always for advanced home upgrade. And for basic home upgrade, they are required only if you are performing an air sealing measure or claiming a duct leakage to outside test. Actually, excuse me. For basic, you're only required to do that if you are claiming air sealing, period. Sorry about that.
Next question, do gas stoves have to be sealed as well for duplexes?
No, but they do have to have the proper ventilation. So, making sure that it has an exhaust hood. And then also it must comply with the whole house action guidelines. So, any CO issues, you need to have that remediated.
For 2 to 4 units, if a unit is all electric, will mentoring or an observation still be required? Meaning, if there are no combustion appliance present at all in any of the units, will an observation or mentoring still be required?
No, observation or mentoring will not be required if the home is all electric. We will want to see photos, and I believe, Katrina, did you have any input on the desktop level?
Yeah, a copy of the utility bill lining that there was only electric meter and electric account number would help desktop determine that it's all electric, and then we can verify it within the PG&E database.
So that addresses all the questions that came in for that section. We will be moving in now to the general forum and question and answer. So if you have questions that didn't get answered, please do resubmit those now. Or if you have other general program questions, general program feedback, etc., please do submit those. I'll go through the next couple slides as you're presenting those that show the contact information as well as the home upgrade URL. But please do be submitting your questions. If we don't get enough questions, we'll go ahead and end early, but we will stay here at least until noon as long as questions are continuing to be submitted. So just a bit of program contact and information. Again, homeupgrade.org is our program portal essentially for all of the PG&E and PG&E SoCalGas home upgrade information. We do store all of the documents, required submission documents, best practices, FAQs, recorded webinars that have been delivered over time, and all of our training dates as those are added. We also use it when we send out newsletters and e-blasts. We store all of that content on the program updates section, so you have a static place for that to be referenced. We do, again, keep an eye out on your email. We use that for the newsletters that we send just about monthly, the e-blasts, as there is time-sensitive information and updates that come out, as well as sending out, again, these pipeline notifications as far as applications that need to move to the next stage before they may be canceled. We are completing some updates too for a lot of the program documentation to reflect latest updates, latest program changes, etc. That includes the participant handbook, and we will be finalizing over time some high-performing HVAC installation documentation. So a lot of the documentation for that is really primarily focused on the pilot. But as we transition into having this be a program measure that could be selected and completed, that documentation will be added. So document library is a pretty important part of that website. If you're not familiar with it, please do visit it and get familiar with some of the documentations. Some of the common desktop review questions that come up are answered there, and we update that over time. So I've added back here some contact information depending on the nature of your question, both the phone number and the email in those cases. We'll go ahead and leave this slide up Again, we will be sharing this recorded webinar, and all of the slides, we'll be adding it to the homeupgrade.org website, and you'll be able to download the slides and listen to the recording. So check back in a couple days, and we should have that posted. We have received a few additional questions, so we'll go ahead and read through those and begin to answer those. Again, any questions, comments that you didn't get, please resend those or send any other, and we'll go through them. Okay, another clarification, asking a question about the eligibility of home upgrade program. So again, for the year built homes in home upgrade, homes need to be built 2001 and older to be eligible for home upgrade. If it's built in 2002 or newer, and it's existing construction, those are only eligible for the advanced home upgrade pathway. Again, with the building leakage measure in home upgrade pathway, that's only eligible for homes older than 1993. Next question that came in is the high performance AC kicker a single $200 kicker rebate, or is it $200 per AC ton? Good question. It's just a single $200 kicker rebate at this point. So we've received some questions regarding the incentives and the rebate reservations, the timing of those and whatnot. So for the 2017 year, there will be a limited budget available for the incentives. But at this point, it doesn't look like we will be hitting that budget. That, of course, could change pending volume and everything. But we are still evaluating how the previous program changes and current program rules will impact the volume and subsequently the savings and incentive amounts. But we can say at this point, the way things are looking, it doesn't look like we'll be hitting that budget. Again, rebate reservation requests are required for both pathways, and as you complete those, that will help us to get a good sense of the volume and the new jobs coming in and what that looks like for a monthly and an annual sort of incentive implication. But things are volume-wise looking fairly steady and stable right now. So that's where we stand with the incentive and the rebates reservations.
And Jake, this is Noah. If I could just chime in for a second.
Yep, go ahead.
So hi everybody, this is Noah Proser. I'm the new program manager on the PG&E side for this program. So looking forward to working with everybody and hopefully meeting some of you at least at future workshops. I just want to quickly mention, so Jake is exactly right. We are looking to sort of live within our means this year in terms of the program budget. We don't have a hard number figured out yet for what that final amount will be, but we're evaluating that now. And as Jake mentioned, we're looking at how the program volume and sort of rate of submissions has changed this year before we kind of finalize that number. So we will follow up shortly in the next few weeks on what exactly that budget will be. As Jake mentioned, we don't, at least right now, anticipate that it will limit any work in the program according to our forecasts. And we will, of course, keep you well updated on program uptake so that if there is any limit, you know well in advance. So we want to be very transparent about this process and provide you plenty of updates. So more to come on that in terms of an actual number, but we will keep you posted.
Great, thanks for that input, Noah. So where we're at right now, question-wise, there's a handful of questions that we can address with some of you directly. They seem pretty specific to specific jobs, and we'll follow up with you directly on those. We have answered all the rest of the questions that have come in, so we'll give it just a couple more minutes. And if we don't receive any new questions, we'll go ahead and end early, about 20 minutes early, it's looking like, if no new questions come in. Again, look for an email to come out after this and a posting on homeupgrade.org with the recording of this. A question about the new test and measurements form to reflect the BPI 1200. So we are working on updating the test measurements form, again, to remove the draft requirements. That should be coming out later this year. Part of what we're examining, too, is reducing the number of inputs and number of forms that have to be submitted. We're seeing how much of that can be parsed out of the energy modeling software and whatnot. So that's been one thing we've been looking into. But in the meantime, yes, we're working on updating the test measurements form to reflect the BPI 1200 changes. For now, you know, those fields can just be ignored. A lot of contractors have taken note of that and are submitting accordingly. We'll let you know, of course, if that's an issue. But you can ignore the pieces on the test measurement form that don't apply to BPI 1200 for now until we do get a new form updated. Another question that came in about the quality installation section, where in the participant handbook are the baffles referenced?
So that would actually not be in the participant handbook. It's in the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade Installation Specs. So that, again, can be found on the document library. So Home Upgrade document library under the Performing Jobs tab. And then scroll down a little bit, you'll see the Home Upgrade Installation Specs link there. And once you open up that document, under the attic installation category, I bet, right, I'm looking, and it's on page 11 of the document. It's the last bullet point in that section, but it's on page 11. It's required e-ventilation shall not be obstructed. The net-free ventilation area of the e-vent shall be maintained. E-vent baffles shall be installed to prevent air movement under or into the insulation. So you'll find that in the Home Upgrade Installation Specs on page 11.
All right, to respect everybody's time, that appears to be the end of the questions for now. If there's anything we didn't get answered for you during today's presentation, please do reach out to us. And for those of you who said we'd reach out to individually, we'll follow up after the presentation. Thanks again, everyone, for joining today. Wanted to mention that there is another advanced technical training scheduled for April. If you have any staff who haven't attended that or new staff coming on board, et cetera, you can direct them there. And we'll look to hopefully have another forum like this, if nothing else, program update later in the year, Q2, sometime before the end of June. Otherwise, the newsletters, e-blasts, and engagement team sends out emails to you weekly. Pay attention to those, and we try to use those to keep you up to date with the latest information. We appreciate all you and your participation. Thanks for joining today, and have a great rest of the week.